Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadetamastu Ma Vindvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently opening your eyes. Thank you very much for coming. Good. So this chant we've just done is everything in Vedanta is very traditional. And I like to do it, my teacher did it, but I like to do it before a talk starts. And the translation is, and I'm reading it now because I want to be correct, together may be we protected, together may be we nourished, together may we work with great energy. May our journey together be brilliant and effective. May there be no bad feelings between us. Om, peace, peace, and peace. I will talk now every Monday at this time, and what I'm going to do is every Monday we'll go to another subject. So we're actually moving into deeper layers of Vedanta. And because I'm taping them now, so that in 4 or 5 weeks when people are coming and never heard about it, I can say, okay guys, here is a little stick, listen to talk 1. Yeah? Because one of the difficulties I had when I was teaching, giving my talks in Orion, was that every time there were new people, and I had to start every time afresh, every time new, and that was getting a bit repetitive to people who wanted to know more, and it was getting repetitive for me as well, always answering basically the same questions. Even though, having said that repetition. It's a really good way, because we need to hear this truth of Vedanta, the teaching that I'm doing, again and again before it really sinks in. Because some of the things that you, I'm sure, particularly here on this island, you have heard many times, but do you know them truly? Or is it just a belief, just something that sounds good because you hear it again and again? Or is it something that you know to be true? And of course, I want to start at the very beginning. You don't have to believe any of this. The first step in Vedanta is Shravana. That means just listening. Listening without prejudice. Just an open mind, or what we call it, the beginner's mind. And I said many times this little story. Sorry if you heard it already 2 or 3 times. You will hear it the 4th time. It is when the philosophy teacher comes to the Zen master, and who is full with knowledge, and he wants to ask a question, a really important question. And the Zen master says, wait, just let's have a cup of tea. If you know from the Zen background, a cup of tea actually takes a long time. I was involved in Zen, so I've done many Zen ceremonies. So first, there's the kettle that is boiling. That takes a long time because it's a very big kettle. And then he whisks his green tea. In the meantime, the philosophy professor was so agitated. Come on, I want to ask this very important question. Then the cups are warmed up. Then finally, he was going around with a teapot. And then we came to the professor. He kept filling and filling his cup. And the professor said, stop. And my cup is full. And the Zen master said, well, that's exactly what I see. You are full of your own knowledge. How do you get the knowledge that I want to transfer to you? How can I do that? Because your cup is already full. And this is the beginner's mind. This is the beginner's mind. So a beginner's mind is that's the first step. You just listen and see, if there is something to it. Okay, so without any exceptions, we all want to be happy. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, if you're old or young or whatever, we all want to be happy. Agreed? Yeah, the head movement. Sorry, I have to explain the head. Yes, thank you. Look at her. This is yes. Yeah, of course we want to be happy. This is no, I have a totally different agenda. And this is, yeah, come on, you can do it. You can do it. Yeah. Eva can do it. The people who've been to India a very long time, they can do it. The wobble of the head means yes, no. So this is actually on a more serious note. I can sort of see if you follow me. Yeah? And of course, always ask questions, because if you don't understand something, then I keep on talking, building on that knowledge, and I lose you on the track. So ask questions, please. Okay, so we all want to be happy. Now, if we find out, if we then step on a path actually to find out freedom, happiness, then we call it, we're on a spiritual path. When we seriously embrace that question, I want to be happy, then it's the beginning of the spiritual path. Now, we are not very unique, really, because this people on spiritual path has happened for thousands of years. In fact, the Vedas and then the Upanishads were written 3,000, 4,000 years. Who knows? Maybe some would say even older. But a long time. Because the mind, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, was the same mind that we are having. Don't think they were more primitive or even think they were more evolved. Yes, their spiritual search was more widespread. And when you read the Upanishads, you would think, oh my God, what questions did they ask compared to a spiritual talk that we might have today. But the motivation was still the same, how to be happy. So from that motivation, yoga was created. And really, yoga includes all the spiritual paths that are on this planet. We can call them all yoga. And there is the yoga of Raja Yoga. So that's the path that uses meditation. They say that the problem, because we are not happy, is because of chitta vrittis. You know what chitta vrittis are? You know. What are they? That's right. Yeah, there are fluctuations. Basically, it's thinking. Yeah, fluctuation of the mind. It's basically the problem is thinking. Yeah, our mind is always moving around. So how do we become free? Through meditation, through concentration, to managing our mind. So the path of Raja Yoga was for meditation. And then we reach a state that's called samadhi. That's the goal of meditation. Then that is not really a separate path, but for the last 100 years or so it was declared a separate path, but it's not really is one. That is bhakti. Bhakti yoga is the yoga of devotion, of surrender, of love. And the nice things with that is that you can start already where you are. Yeah? I mean, just love, just surrender. And at the end of your path, of course, it's the same thing. You love and you surrender and you have gratitude. Sounds quite easy. Don't you think? It is very difficult, though. It is very difficult. You can be fooled quite easy. But it is a path, the Bhakti Yoga path of surrender, love, devotion. What is often misunderstood, of course, is that even on the path of Raja Yoga, through meditation and quietening the mind down, love comes naturally as well. And the same is for the other path that we are talking about, Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge. This is not without bhakti, but again, it uses a different angle. Jnana Yoga uses the mind, uses knowledge, uses understanding. So it is again a different path. The difficult path with Jnana Yoga, and a lot of schools are saying it's the most, well, it is in a way the most difficult. But why is it so difficult? Well, because on the path of knowledge, they're actually starting with saying, you're not even ready to go to understand this. You need some qualifications. Bhaktis don't say that. They say everybody can love, you know. And that's why it's so popular in India. And really, Christianity has a very strong bhakti movement. And so is, of course, the Islam, yeah, is built on bhakti. Because you can start where you're at. Jnana Yoga is a little bit different. For example, you have to have an open mind. And you have to have other qualities that we're not talking about today, but maybe in the next or the third sessions. You need some qualification. Your mind needs some qualification to even start on that path. So you might argue, well, it's not for everybody. And that's true. So meditation is something that probably all of you have done. Is somebody here who hasn't meditated? Okay, I'll take that. No, you have meditated. You tried, maybe not very successful, but of course you tried. Yeah? Yes, you can start where you're at, and with bhakti as well. But in Jnana Yoga, not necessarily like that. They have pretty strong qualifications. You need to, for example, you need to discriminate with what is true and what is not true. You know, you have to have a very analytical mind and a burning desire to be free. Do we have a burning desire to be free? Well, you know, that's one of the qualifications. So it's not an easy path to start with. And you have to use, of course, your mind. So what is Vedanta? It's your unexamined logic of your experience. I say it again. It's your unexamined logic. So it is actually logic. It's a logical path. But you never ask yourself these questions. Because you believe in a dualistic world. Because it's so clear to you that the world is dualistic. And the path that we are, or what I am talking about, Advaita Vedanta, is a very specific path on Vedanta. There are a few schools who talk about Vedanta. And in fact, these days, the word is thrown around by so many people that it can be quite confusing. For example, Tantra. You know? There was a teacher here who says, oh, Tantra and Vedanta, I'll teach all of this. I have to say, okay, fair enough. Now, think about this. What idea has Tantra? Dual, yes. It is Shiva and Shakti. They're actually saying that I'm not saying they are wrong, but I'm just saying their approach is when Shiva and Shakti have a union, Mahamudra, then the bliss happens. Now, most of the, I would even say nearly all of the tantric schools and tantric teachers here on the island, or who come, they mean that Shiva is the male and Shakti is the female. Forgetting that is actually the inner union we are talking about. It has nothing to do with sex, in other words. It's an inner union of the Shiva and the Shakti. Or Patanjali would say Purusha and Prakriti. So it's the male, the still point, and the Shakti, the moving point. And that creates then the inner union. But you have first duality that becomes then the union. You even have, it's discussable, some path of Buddhism have this famous saying, form is emptiness and emptiness is form. So Buddhism certainly has a strong non-dual teaching, but still some duality creeps in. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. So you have emptiness and form. It's still a slight dualistic thinking. Vedanta Advaita Vedanta says, no, there is no duality. You are one with what is. There is no other. Advaita means not two. Not two means not one. Because if we say everything is one, well, after one comes two. It's a tricky way of saying this. So that makes Advaita Vedanta quite puzzling, because our normal experience is dual, isn't it? Wouldn't you agree? No? I mean, obviously, it's dual. So, if we are one, why don't I experience everything as one? It's one thing to say everything is one, and there the other paths are much easier. Because in yoga, they say, okay, I accept where you're at, now you sit and meditate. Control the fluctuation of your mind. Counting in, counting out. And in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, they particularly say, the more you practice, the better you will get. You practice a lot, and the revolts will be great. But practice you have to go. And that is in most of the other paths as well. Practice, and in a way that's great, because you can start practicing. And we are used to that. You want to play a music instrument, you sit down and start practicing, right? So we go to school to learn. And this is where Advaita Vedanta is so mad. Because it said, no, you actually have to understand. The thing is, if you are already the oneness you are looking for, doing will not get you there. I repeat, because it's a very subtle point. So when you are already consciousness, and always have been consciousness, and everything else is consciousness, and always has been consciousness, and always will be consciousness, no doing will get you there. Because who is doing? The imaginary doer. Advaita goes even one step further. There is actually no doer. But we're not there yet. We are still at the first step. I have to be careful to take off. Please, Soleil, remind me. Yeah? I love to shoot through the chakras and go right for it. No, but we want to stay on the ground. This is first session. So, this is why Advaita Vedanta is different, slightly different from other paths, and not so easily understood. So, but this is an important lesson. There was, Bettina, can you look there? Somewhere I had my water here. Be great. Was it? Okay, thank you. knowledge is what you need to get to understand that you always been that what you were looking for. So, how do we do that? Thank you. Oh, okay. How do we do that? Well, we use as an authority the Upanishads. These are scriptures, have been written thousands of years ago, have been talked about, analyzed by thousands and thousands of rishis, wise men and women, and have been modified, have been discussed, talked about, meditated upon, and they always have to be proven to be correct. We trust the Upanishads to be true. And then, of course, in trusting that, in practicing the teachings, you will come to realize yourself that it is true. But practice and practicing you have to do. So this is already a great contradiction in a way. Why do you need to practice when you are already who you're looking for? Do you get that? Yeah, the head? Huh? If not, ask. So on one hand, I'm telling you that you are already that, but then I'm saying, well, you actually have to practice this. But this practice will actually get you to the truth of who you already are. This practice is understanding. And then, of course, bring this understanding in your everyday life. And reflect on your thoughts. So we will actually go through every aspect of this understanding and practice. We will look into thoughts, how thoughts are created, what thoughts are made of, feelings, why is it that we still believe we are separate, and why does this world appear to be so real? So I want to talk now just about one qualification that is the first one we really need to understand. Because if you find it difficult to understand this, then moving on will be quite challenging. And the thing I want to tell you is that objects are not making you happy. Objects can never make you happy. Why? You can give me the answer. I explain it to you. But the black and white is, objects cannot make you happy because you are already happiness. Now, this is something actually very obvious. This is one of the truths that we never explore. And obviously society will not, or society or your parents or will not support this view, that objects will not make you happy. Because our whole society is built upon happiness is in objects. Okay, let's start with an obvious object. A car or a handbag. I'm using stereotypes now. Or a motorbike and a ring or something like that. Like maybe for Cosmo, a great bicycle, a really sort of, top of the range bicycle would make him apparently very happy. Or actually, Soleil would be very happy about this as well. But I'm sure somebody will not be that happy about this great bike. I'm not that thrilled by a great bike. It's much too hilly here in Kopangan for me. So obviously, what makes Cosmo and Soleil very happy will not make me happy. So what is the reality? The happiness is not in the bike. If happiness would be in the bike, we all would be totally happy with the same bike. Something more obvious, of course, is a handbag or a pair of shoes or whatever it is. We think, oh, this makes us so happy. But for the person next to you, they would think, well, that's nice, but it doesn't make me happy. Okay, do you understand? This is just one of the examples. So the happiness that we're looking for is not in a physical object. Even though, now if you think about this, how come that, if you saved for years or maybe months to buy a new car or to buy new shoes or to buy something, for a moment it actually makes you happy. Or you think it does, it gives a great buzz. True? Huh? I mean, that's why we're doing it, for this buzz. Huh? So you could say, shopping makes me happy. Isn't that true, Bettina? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Yeah? Shopping makes her happy. She is so happy when she comes back with, and thank God for me, she loves getting second-hand stuff, and she comes then with some pants, she got second-hand. I think they were worn already 3 years in a row constantly here on Kopangan. And they said, they fit you so nice. But of course, they're much too big for me, much too small. So these pants that she's so happy with, they don't make me happy. But the act of shopping makes her happy. How long does the act of shopping can make you happy? A day? 2 days? 3 days? I mean, with Bettina, it doesn't last too long. Because if it's a new thing, she checks everywhere how much it is, and then she finally buys it, but then she doesn't stop, because once she bought it, she just looks if she made a good buy, and compares prices again. So she's either happy when she bought it still cheaper, or very unhappy when she finds the same product somewhere else more expensive. So really, or cheaper. Yeah, cheaper. So it will not constantly make you happy. Do you understand that? A thing that you buy, but why is that happiness there for a moment? When you buy a new car and you sit in and the car dealer, is so happy and gives you free coffee and, tells you how beautiful you are or whatever, or how beautiful you will feel when you buy the car. And then you drive out of the driveway, the most expensive drive you can do. Because then you have a used car. If you turn around again and want to sell it, you're using a lot of money. So, how come you are so happy at that moment?
You achieved the goal.
Exactly, for a moment. So what makes that, what's happening in you? You achieved a goal.
Yeah, there's a feeling of success. You worked hard to gain something.
That's right. You worked hard to gain something. So what lifted for a moment?
Wanting.
The wanting. Exactly. For a moment, you don't want anything anymore. You're actually happy for a moment. So this happiness, if you analyze it with objects, is not in the car or whatever else it is. It is in the fact that for a moment, you are desireless. For a moment, your own true nature that was covered by desire and wanting was lifted, because you just got what you were desiring. What a relief. For a moment you were desireless. And the joy that is always within you could come up. And it feels great. But of course, what is it? It was an experience. And what is the nature of an experience? Fun? It comes and goes. You cannot hold on to an experience as much as we want to hold on. It's the nature of an experience. And if we want to have the same experience again, will that work? No, it never works. It never works. They may be similar, sometimes maybe very similar, but they're never the same. So an experience by its very nature is fleeting. If you build your life on experiences, you will suffer, basically. So people, for example, who are more hedonistic, this is one way of seeing life. I don't care about money or power or anything. I love to party. I love to have a good time, whatever that good means. So they going out and partying, and then, they wake up with a hangover, then they do something, and then the next day they're partying again, hoping to repeat that great experience that they had before. But it never will. There's always another experience. You cannot repeat the same experience. And of course, it leaves you. And the point from hedonists, it's actually, they crash pretty badly when they grow older. A lot of people in my generation, they're looking pretty old now. Yeah? Sure, they could say, oh, I burned the candle on both sides. But with candles, they meant, they took a lot of things and whatever. But they look pretty old. So it's not a judgment, it's just, I just wanted to explain the nature of an experience. You cannot chase experience. It will never make you happy. After a party, you wake up in the morning, maybe you have a memory of that night. But it's just a memory that fades very quickly. Isn't it true, Soleil? Yes. Good. Okay. Anybody disagrees that objects don't make you happy? Okay. I mean, I'm not saying, of course, don't have objects either. What is the secret with an object? Somebody said detachment. Yes, detachment. Yeah? You have them, but you're not attached to them. You enjoy nice things. I mean, I love living where I'm living right now. I love it. But look, we're not always lived like this. We lived in, God, from caravans to, this is how she met me. I lived in a tiny caravan, to tents, to small little places. But we were always more or less happy. And now we're happy in here. If you are an unhappy, pessimistic person, you will be unhappy and pessimistic wherever you are. You could sit here and say, I don't know what you can complain, but I'm sure you'll find something to complain. I mean, I don't know. It's too hot, or it's too this, or, the light is not strong enough, or, you will always find something. It's an inner state. Yeah? It's not the object. Yeah? So you understand that? Okay. So it is great to have things, just don't be attached to them. Because the nature of things, they come and go as well. And there's this, of course, this famous saying, if you die, you have to give up everything. You can't take anything with you. And it's bloody true. You cannot take anything with you. Yes, thank you. Leave the light on, please. Okay, so if we agree that things won't make you happy, they can just relieve, in a way, your inner suffering. Let's be more specific. So this is really, I know we covered that on other times, but it's really important to understand. What about then with your emotions and feelings? Because a lot of people, particularly here on the island, they look for happiness in emotions and feelings. Now, falling in love, finding your tantric partner, it is a lot of joy. Anybody denies this? You never, I mean, it's fun. I remember. It's a bit of a, So yes, obviously, that's great. But is the joy in the other person? Is that a joy and happiness that lasts? Yeah, do you agree? It doesn't. It doesn't. Yes, it makes you happy for a moment, but it's not a constant. Never trust feelings. Why? Because they change. You want to have something that is not changing. If you build your house on a feeling, well, yeah, it doesn't work. Even though it is so tempting. I followed a tantric experience 30 years ago that was really built upon feelings. Like looking into the eyes of the opposite sex and having ecstatic music and then going home with your beloved. That was all great till the next morning when your beloved decides that she actually wants to be with another beloved. And then you go through all the suffering till the evening when you look for then somebody else to fill that emotional gap. I mean, you know the community I'm talking about, aren't you? But now it's Osho, yeah? The whole thing with Osho was built up on, there he is. It was built up on emotions. You can get very high emotions. We were in a hall of, imagine 10,000 people, literally 10,000, all dressed the same, all flowing and dancing and falling into each other's arms. You fell backwards into the lap of a gorgeous woman or gorgeous man. You could have your eyes closed and they stroke your body and whatever. And wow, doesn't it feel great? I mean, it did feel great. Mm-hmm. Huh? But it's not lasting. It's just another feeling that arises and disappears. And it's very exhausting as well. Building your house on feelings is very exhausting. So you don't find happiness in always going into your heart. This is one of the things that Vedanta is, particularly my teacher, is very clear about. Stop this being in your heart, getting out of your head and being in your heart.
Listen to your heart.
Or listen to your heart. Okay, let's analyze this because we are in Kopangan. What do you think means listening to your heart? Come on, you must have heard that. Yeah, well, yeah, emotion. Okay. So listening to your emotion? Okay. Yeah, I mean, what does that actually mean? What would you say?
Follow.
Huh? You have to
Follow your heart.
Yeah, follow your heart. Listen to your emotions. What does it actually mean?
I'm not sure this is the Kopangan way of explaining it, but I would say it's that feeling in the heart that the heart actually expands and has that feeling of what is that sweetness of what I call frequency of love. And you just feel that expansion.
Okay. Well, you're an older, experienced spiritual person, so your answer was
That's why I say I don't know that this is
No. Yes, but in generally, what means listening to your heart? Really?
That you start not to think, but really feel, and then when other people are in the room and they also feel, and you go like, ah,
Yes.
and lots of hugging.
And the lots of breathing out and long hugs.
Yeah.
I think when people say listen to your heart, it's like you get the free pass of logic, and you like say, I'm following my intuition.
Yeah.
Like I'm on the free pass now. I can do whatever I want.
But have you noticed that listening to your heart is actually a thought? Yeah. And where is thought located? In the mind. So the saying, get out of your mind and into your heart is really quite silly if you start analyzing it.
Oxymoron.
It's in a way it's an oxymoron, because if you follow that thought to go into your heart, it's actually knowledge and so on. I'm not talking about against the heart chakra, and you were hinting on this. I go into I want to point out sentimentality, because that is mostly what happens in the name of follow your heart or follow your intuition. Okay, so following your feelings is not a good idea, because feelings come and go. And building your house on it will be very painful in the long term. You follow me so far? Yeah? Okay. Now we have our thinking. Yeah? So we see a situation and then we think about it, and then you make up our mind, and then you say, I know. Thinking, a thought. But have you ever thought about that your thinking is actually conditioned by the information you're getting and your personal, we call it in Vedanta, we call it vasanas, your likes and dislikes. And of course it's connected to your gunas. We will talk in another time about gunas and vasanas. But what you like or not like or dislike, is actually already in a way predetermined by what happened before. So when you like and don't like something, in a way it is already programmed. So when you say, I know this or I know that, have you actually analyzed where this knowing, this apparent certainty comes from? Where is the certainty coming from?
From your experience.
Okay, good, your experience. Now, very good. So, how do we experience? How do we analyze an experience? Because an experience in itself is useless unless you analyze it. You remember it, yeah, analyze it. What is a positive experience for you might be a negative one for somebody else. Yeah? Not everybody experiences the same thing equally. So something else must determine if an experience for you is good or bad. Or is it? Now, think about this. Okay, just one step back. There is an experience. Oh gosh, I wish I had a great example now of something. I don't want to have a stupid example,
A
but
cup of coffee in the morning.
okay, yeah, very
I don't
good.
like coffee.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, this is great. This is a good one, because coffee smells great, and you might be tempted, but my son as well. We always drink coffee. He loves his tea. Huh? So for me, drinking this coffee is a great experience. It feels great, and I love one. My son says, no way. And if he drinks the coffee, he gets speedy and he doesn't like it. So his experience has a certain quality. My experience has a certain quality. Whose experience is right? Both?
Neither.
Neither. None of them is right. Why?
It's just an experience.
Exactly. And what is an experience? Come on. Pardon? It is temporary, but what's the quality? Pardon? Yeah, and it's neutral. Things are the way they are. The coffee is just a coffee. So an experience in its very nature is neutral.
So
It's
the
neither.
experience labels it.
Yes. And that's how you create your world. Through your likes and dislikes. I mean, we already going to the Vasana. I really have to hold myself back. There are so many exciting things that I love to talk about. But we're talking at the moment just about the mind, yeah, that analyzes an experience and likes it or doesn't like it. But an experience is in its sense neutral. So, are you your experiences? No.
Of course not.
No, you are not. And why you are not your experience? An experience sorry, I said the wrong word. Are you your thoughts? No, you're not your thoughts. Thoughts might create an experience, might create a feeling, and so on, but you are not your thoughts. They just appear in you. So now it gets very weird, because these are all the three anchors in a way, particularly the body, that we are totally identified with. You might sit here and think, no, this is not a problem. I know I'm not my body. I know I'm not my emotions. And my thoughts are here, they come and go. But if I tell you you have a fat ass and you're pretty stupid and you're an emotional wreck, well, you don't say, oh yeah, that's true because I'm not my body and I'm not my feeling and not my thoughts. You would say,
That's your problem.
that's your problem. Yeah, exactly. Yeah? So on another level, we are still very much identified with that. And that's fine. The learning has just begun. But it really needs to be deeply understood that we are none of the three things. But then, who are we? Who are we? And this is where Vedanta comes in. This is what, by the way, this is already the logic that we're following. You see, this is not religion. I'm not saying because my teacher and my teacher's teachers or Shankaracharya or who knows whom said we are not our bodies and we are not, and you have to believe it, otherwise you cannot be a Vedanti. No, it is something that if you really analyze what's happening, you can actually agree with this. Or don't agree, but sooner or later you will agree. Yeah? So this is not religion. This is analytical observation of what's actually happening in your unexamined logic of who you are. So, again, let's use this unexamined logic. What is the most obvious thing? It is so obvious that you probably don't think about it. In you. Don't say it. In you, the most obvious thing.
I exist.
Yes. Are you?
That's your question?
Yeah, it's true. I exist, exactly.
I'm here.
I'm born and I die.
Yeah, but this is even more. Do you agree? Do you exist? I had once somebody says, no, I don't exist. Yeah? Well, who is saying that then? Yeah? You exist, right? And there is something that is the same on the other side of the coin. You exist and... No, not you. You exist and... This is so subtle. It's so subtle. You exist.
You know that you exist.
You should know as my wife, Bettina. Yes, that's true. And you know you exist. Can
You
you?
don't know all the time.
Well, you forget, but...
Yes.
yeah, I
When
mean...
you go shopping.
when you go shopping, yes.
That's why I'm still married.
That's true. I mean, in the Buddhist terminology, they say samasati. That means right remembrance. Yeah? You just need to remember, again and again. Yeah? You exist and you know you exist. It's called Sat Chit. Chit means consciousness, existing, and Sat means the truth of your existence. So Sat Chit is a fact that is happening in all of us, and we know it to be true. And then they say, knowing this actually makes you blissful. Or Ananda means bliss, but my teacher makes a strong point to say it's fullness. It makes you feel full. Yes, we have this idea of bliss. I'm a bliss ball. It gives really the wrong... Sorry? Sorry, I didn't understand. Happy? No. Bliss is or fullness, wholeness is a much deeper state than happiness. No, it's yeah. Happiness.
For a long time before we get out of the samadhi.
That's right. Happiness comes and goes. You're happy, and that's the dualistic part of being not happy. Now I'm happy. No, I'm not happy. But fullness doesn't have an opposite. I mean, you could say emptiness, but I mean, okay, actually, fullness and emptiness is the same. Because the Buddhists call it shunyata, emptiness. Yeah, shunya is the name. No, shunyata is emptiness. Huh? They say everything is empty. Huh? But empty and everything is full is the same coin from different angles. And fullness means there is nothing that can be added onto you and nothing that be can taken away. And, drum roll, that's who you are. Sat Chit Anand. This is what the yogis come up with. That's the essence of who you are. And Vedanta is the path to actually know this to be true, to embody that. And the proof in the pudding is that you're actually living it, that you're really happy living it. It's one thing to be a scholar and sitting about and analyzing and comparing scriptures, and you're still miserable. You know? No, the proof in the pudding is the eating, that you're actually happy, that your life actually changes because of that, through that understanding. Yeah? Okay, yeah?
So yeah, that brings, I mean, it is the three times that I've touched on this place. Yes, it's fullness, but it's also emptiness of the conditioning, the vasanas, the programs, all of that. But that, for the lack of a better word, the experience is fullness.
Yeah.
But then that brings the question, there is that two sides to that coin.
I mean, yeah, the Buddhists call it emptiness, but it is actually not empty. Nothing is empty. But this is actually a physical law as well. I mean, physics, quantum physics in particular, goes so much into that, and they realize there is nothing like emptiness. Where there is nothing, there's always something there. It could be tiny, 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 but it doesn't really matter. Whatever works best for you. But for me, definitely fullness works best, because this self, consciousness, that's who we are, is something, you might say. I mean, where the world is created out of and everything goes back to. But whatever works for you, it can be looked at the same. So, I talked over an hour. If there's any question now, I would be happy to, concerning the subject, please. Don't go too cosmic. We can do this in the third and the fourth session.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said that the one thing I'm sure is that I am.
Correct.
And the second one is that I know I am.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what you mean. I know I am. Isn't it enough? I am. What should I know?
Okay. It is basically it's basically saying the same. If you know who you are, I mean, I am is the ultimate statement. But then you can say, okay, I am what? And then you can put attributes to it. I'm love, I'm wholeness, I'm all of this. And to say you know that you are is still a slight little duality. You know that you are. This emness is actually, there is no duality. I am is the final word. And I have in my pool down there, I have a little sign that Soleil made for me. The world is because I am. I explained that in another session. It's a bit complicated, but that's based on that. The I amness is the true understanding. And I know that I am is still the duality.
So anytime I identify myself with something, this is the right way of
Exactly.
I
Yes.
am the thing.
Yes. I am is enough. Everything else is an add-on to that. Yeah, very good question.
So this is just
You have to speak a little bit louder for the
All right. So I just had a clarification about what duality is.
Mhm.
You could say that it's like what you're saying, that it's everything that's not one.
Yes.
But I don't think that really explains it very well. So
No.
duality could be said as hot and cold, or high and low, or you
Okay.
and me. But I just wanted
Okay. I haven't made that very clear when I analyzed what you are not. Yeah? You're not your body. You're not objects. You're not your feelings, and so on. Yeah? So you are just pure consciousness, and that pure consciousness, from the point of Vedanta, includes everything. It's non-dual. Consciousness is non-dual. There is not a second consciousness or a third consciousness. There is only consciousness. Within consciousness, there is duality. No? And how that is created it's through Maya and so on. We'll talk about this. But obviously, in our day-to-day reality, there is something like duality. Yeah? Obviously. But it is within consciousness. Yes, we might say there is a woman and there is a man, but from the point of consciousness, there is just consciousness. And even from the point of physics, this is just a swirl of energy there, swirl of energy, and it's just only energy, really. Manifesting in different forms, but the essence is energy. And this beautiful example that I want to say is the ocean and the waves. Everything in the ocean is H2O. The essence is water in the ocean, in the wave. But the wave has a certain identity. We call it the Jivan or the Atman. And the ocean is Brahman. But it's both the wave and the ocean is just water. Oneness. Yeah? But within the oneness, there is a certain duality. Yeah? You had a question? Can you speak up a little bit?
Going back to your initial starting from the object,
Yeah.
then you go down shopping in terms of possession. So I'm going to show a counter argument. For example, if you're a member of the pygmy tribe in the Amazon jungle,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
there is no money, there is no currency,
Yeah.
there are no objects, there
Yeah.
are no possessions, there is no materialism at all.
Mhm.
He doesn't even know what the experience is.
Well, experiences they're all the time different. That's true. Yeah? But experiencing is not. It's the same.
I'm talking in the kind of material, because I think you need to really distinguish between, say, the world now, in terms of possessions and materialism, and perhaps the world then when we talk about the then. I don't know.
Okay, the possession were very different. Oh, did you see this? You talk about the pygmy. This film, The Gods Must Be Crazy.
No.
Oh, look, try to get that on, I don't know, YouTube or whatever. That's a good example. It's a good argument for my point. The Gods Must Be Crazy there was a pygmy in the South African desert. Has anybody seen that movie?
long time ago.
The idea is just brilliant, So no possession. But of course, when we say no possession, of course they had possessions. But they don't seem, they had their sticks and that was his stick because he chipped it. But okay, no possession. Suddenly, somebody threw out of the plane a Coca-Cola bottle, a glass Coca-Cola bottle. This guy looked and suddenly he finds this Coca-Cola bottle. Never seen something like this, an object. But because there was already a vasana in him of, this is beautiful, this is mine, I can do something, I can impress the girls, or I can impress the community. He brought this Coca-Cola bottle home to his tribe. And everybody admired him. In fact, to cut a long story short, he had to leave the tribe because suddenly jealousy came up. They never had jealousy before. Because he had this Coca-Cola bottle. You could do so many things with it. You could put water in it. You could roll your pancakes, and all this sort of uses for this Coca-Cola bottle. And then everybody wanted to have this Coca-Cola bottle. So he said, this is the devil. I will throw it at the end of the world, and then it disappears. So, and then he found the end of the world and threw the Coca bottle away. So, what does it show me? That the vasana, the imprint of this is mine, and so is already there, not in the same developed way than we have it here in the West, but they had tools, they had ornaments, and we know that even very primitive people had ornaments. And you bet, if I sit there for 2 years and make an ornament for my woman, and she wears it, and then another woman comes or takes it away, that we're going to fight. So, so I think the imprint is there.
I was talking about hypothetically saying the laws in the open society, everyone's equal, there are no possessions. You take this ego out of you, and you just focus on your mind, and you don't know jealousy, you don't know prejudice, you don't know racism, you don't know competition. So,
Well,
for example, what Marx talked about, there's no such thing as human nature.
you have to speak a little bit louder.
So Marx talked about there's no such thing as human nature, it's nurture.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're born in the jungle, that's all you know.
Mhm.
For
True,
animals to
true.
survive.
Yeah.
If you're born in the world, you understand
Correct,
that.
correct.
That's nurture. Human nature doesn't necessarily make us greedy or selfish.
Oh.
It's that stuff around us. So
Uh,
there is a little bit of overlap on, I think, on your experience.
It's a very complex question. The human mind works the same anywhere, if it's New York or if it's in the jungle or whatever. The human mind is it's different conditioned, but the human mind, as we show later on the chart, has the intellect, a mind, what perceives all the sensory inputs, and the ego, the active part. So this is it doesn't matter if it's thousands of years ago or now. That is really not a great difference. So the mind of a jungle person, just because he's not exposed to what a town person are, is not very different. And what we're actually looking for is not really the imprints of the mind. We're looking at the consciousness that shines on the mind. You see, all the nature's law and all the psychology is actually dealing with the mind. We call it mithya, with the apparent reality. And there is, of course, cause and effect and everything. But what we are focusing on is who or what is aware of the ever-changing nature of our mind, of our input. What is this awareness? And we're saying you are this awareness. I don't know if that helps, but that's the pointer in the right direction. This is, yeah.
And I was thinking, like, maybe they were not having troubles with shopping or something, but they were have troubles with sex or eating or the macho alpha or eating or that.
Yeah.
When I wish that they, like, I know what you mean, but I think there was always something like, in human mind.
Yeah, there was no paradise.
I mean,
Well, if you speak to a lot of tribes, spend a lot of time with tribes in Africa,
Mhm.
their animals, if you like, their nature,
Yeah.
has been destroyed by Western pharmaceuticals.
It's true.
And they say, they'll tell you, people are not going to get sick.
Mhm.
There are no diseases.
Yeah, okay.
It didn't exist. Because you guys are
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I'm not denying that.
They never experienced this death. Well, obviously, they didn't experience death, but they never experienced this disease, this sadness. Right?
True.
Perhaps. I
No,
don't know.
their level of experience is maybe, I mean, what do we know? I mean, what do I know? Maybe you know more about this. Is maybe not as wide, yeah? Because they were very much related to nature and nature's... But relating to nature is a whole spectrum, of course, of experiences. Probably they experience nature in a much more different dimensions than we do. I know Eskimos have 32 names for snow. It's not just it's snowing, but for them it's so important what sort of snow and so on. So they see nature in a different way than we are, much more complex. But look, it still deals in mithya, in the apparent reality. And that's a whole different discussion that actually Vedantas are not really interested in. Yeah? We are interested in consciousness. Yeah? Not that we're pushing it away or so, but we are, who is aware of all of this happening?
But wouldn't you say that what John is saying is kind of true, that the more simple the society is, then there is a less conditioning, there is a less vasanas, and that it's easier to connect and to have the knowingness that you are.
Well, look at where the Upanishads were written,
Right? That's
3,000
what
years
I was-
ago.
Mine was working the same way, but the society
Sure.
was a lot more
Sure.
simple.
Yeah, that's true. But we cannot go back. And obviously, we haven't created an enlightened society that bring that enlightenment up to our age, just the opposite. Yes, we could argue that, but we cannot go back to a naturalistic way of perceiving the world. We are kicked out of paradise, as the Christians would say. That's one of the
The Jews invented that idea.
yeah, well, of course, we are still in paradise, but symbolically, the innocence is gone. We've been out in the world.
Except for children.
Yes, except for children, they're born into the innocence. Yeah, that's true, but they're losing it. Obviously, it's part of growing up. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Good, guys. I want to finish now to say I really enjoyed our first sort of talk after 2.5 months. I hope you enjoyed it as well. We meet again next Monday, same time, and if you know people who might be interested in this, then bring them along. Only if you really think they're interested. Yeah, I'm not interested in counting the numbers and saying, wow, I have 2 people more today. This is not the point. The point is I want this to be a meeting place between friends, looking into the philosophy of Vedanta. Yeah? So, there's a little donation here. This is just an energy exchange. I'm not living from this money, don't worry. But if you want to contribute, that would be nice. So thank you very much for coming. Namaste. And please enjoy. We have a little. Some of you brought food. It would be nice if you, when you come Monday, bring food, because sharing food is a very nice thing. Okay, thank you very much.